Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand of our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Nabin Patnaik. Please put your hands together to welcome to the dash Chief Guest of the inaugural session, Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, Shri Nabin Patnaik. Guest of Honor, Honorable Minister of Skill Development and Technical Education Department, Engineer Shri Prithviranjan Khadai. Guest of Honor, Principal Secretary, Skill Development and Technical Education, Government of Odisha, Srimati Usha Padhi. I also welcome Professor Banshidhar Majhi, Vice Chancellor BPUT, Odisha, and Registered Shri Girish Chandra Singh to the dash. Leadership is the art of giving people a platform for spreading ideas that work. With this note, I may now introduce our Vice Chancellor, Biju Patnaik University of Technology, Odisha, Professor Banshidhar Majhi, before his welcome address to the August gathering. Professor Banshidhar Majhi, Professor in Computer Science and Engineering, NIT Rourkela. Presently, he is Vice Chancellor of Vishud Burla, and currently he is also in charge of Biju Patnaik University of Technology, Odisha as Vice Chancellor. Professor Majhi has guided 21 PhD scholars. For his outstanding contribution in engineering and technology, Government of Odisha has conferred on him Saman Chandrasekhar Award in the year 2016. Professor Majhi put his best effort whatever he does and believe in terminology, effort never fails. May I now request Vice Chancellor, BPUT Odisha, Professor Banshidhar Majhi for his welcome address. Sir, please.
Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, Honorable Minister, Skill Development and Technical Education, our Principal Secretary, Skill Development and Technical Education Department, distinguished experts, Professor Karmalkar from IIT Bhubaneswar, Professor Naik, Vice Chancellor, Avansa University, Professor NCC Prakash, former Professor ISC Bangalore, Sri R.R. Mahapatra, the CEO and the business head of the Murugappa Group of Industry, Chennai, respected chairpersons, directors, principals, and the senior professors of the affiliated and the constituent colleges of the BPUT, distinguished invitees, media persons, and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the faculty, staff, officers of BPUT Odisha, I extend a hearty welcome to all of you on this academic meet organized by Biju Patnaik University of Technology. I am extremely grateful to our Honorable Chief Minister for accepting our invitation and has spared his valuable time to grace this event as the chief guest. Further, I am thankful to Honorable Minister Skill Development and Technical Education for his kind presence and valuable guidance to organize such event of BPUT. My sincere thanks to the functionaries of Government of Odisha, Madam Usha Padhi, our Secretary, SDT, distinguished experts and the participants for their time to make this event a successful one. As all of you know that BPUT is a state affiliating technical university of Odisha named after our visionary and the legendary leader, Sri Biju Patnaik ji. And this university is serving since last 20 years as an epicenter in fostering cooperation and interaction between the academic and the research community on one hand and industry on the other. Since the day of its inception, BPUT has been constantly promoting education, research, and training in engineering, architecture, pharmacy, management, and applied sciences for the advancement of knowledge and the betterment of the society. Apart from this 170 affiliated colleges to constituent colleges, university has recently started in 2022-23 session, 4 branches of undergraduate program in the BPUT campus at Rourkela. In spite of many accolades and good work, BPUT has a long way to go, and this is a day we are all together to introspect where do we stand and where we want to go and what are the challenges ahead so that our journey of excellence is always in the upward trend. Due to the onset of the education policy and the paradigm shift in the professional education, it is necessary to have 360-degree development for further growth and greater glory. For this, we all have to work together in various aspects like multidisciplinary education and research, credit transfer, multiple entry, multiple exit, strengthening innovation, incubation, and entrepreneurship, transparency, ranking and accreditation, collaborations with academia and industry of repute. To achieve this, it needs a wholehearted support from all our stakeholders, all our constituent colleges, from their management, faculty, and students. On this particular day, I call upon everyone to work hand in hand, to work to the best of our potential, to take the professional education of the state of Odisha to a greater height. As a result, we will be able to produce quality professionals fit for the industry, education, research, and society as a whole. With this note, I once again welcome all of you to this particular event and looking forward to have a great day today. Bande Utkala Janani, Jai Bharat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your welcome address. We have also invited Guest of Honor Chief Secretary of Government of Odisha, Shri Suresh Chandra Mahapatra, Guest of Honor Principal Secretary, Department of Industry, Government of Odisha, Shri Hemant Sharma. They have not arrived because of their busy schedule. Education must build character, enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring, while at the same time prepare them for gainful, fulfilling employment. I may now invite our guest of honor, Honorable Minister of Skill Development and Technical Education Department, Engineer Shri Prithviranjan Ghadai, a young dynamic leader, for his address to our August gathering. Sir, please.
Samastanku namaskar. Today present over here is Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Naveen Patnaik sir. Present today is Principal Secretary to Government, Skill Development and Technical Education, Madam Musa Padi. Today present over here is 5T Secretary, Sri V.K. Pandian sir. And all other dignitaries present, representative from all BPUT affiliated institutions, media persons. Today definitely it's a historic day for BPUT because since inception, never we have organized such a event of all affiliated institutions, and today present over here is our Honorable Chief Minister. Under his blessings, it is my pleasure today to organize such a rare meet of entrepreneur fraternities, all representatives. Honorable Chief Minister has given me a task to provide quality technical and professional education in Odisha. I'll put my utmost effort to fulfill his dreams. This all started from our legendary Biju Patnaik, who always dreamed for socio-economic development of the people of Odisha and quality technical education in our state. Moving to a step ahead, in the year 2002, our Chief Minister could dream of a technical university, exceptionally for all technical and professional education in the name of our legendary leader, Biju Patnaik, as Biju Patnaik University of Technology. Friends, to make our state number one in the country, having a robust economy, rapid industrialization, our Honorable Chief Minister is fulfilling all the hopes and aspirations of the people of Odisha. The vision of 5T has transformed our state in every sector. Whether you name it in health sector, when he took charge of the state, at that point of time only 3 medical colleges were there. Today, private and government, including AIIMS, we are having 14 medical colleges. And you all are witnessing the transformation in the education sector, from primary school to high schools. The infrastructure that is being provided and the vision of Honorable Chief Minister Sri Naveen Patnaik, the transformation under 5T, and not only education, today tourism, religious and cultural heritage is getting a boost under this 5T. In the year 2000, when Honorable CM took charge of the state, the 18,000 crore budget, now it has traveled to 2 lakh odd crores. To make in, Odisha is going to be is already an IT hub. Our state steel production is going to contribute more than 30% of the entire country's requirement. 98 lakh families of our state are now covered under Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana, which is the largest social security scheme of our state. Friends, today, you all will be witnessing, entire globe, entire sports community will be witnessing of the entire globe. 13th January, for the second time, hockey world is going to be in a bigger way. So definitely it's a pride for our state. Not only this, recently concluded the Make in Odisha Conclave 2022, which is the flagship investor summit of the government of Odisha, has generated investment intents of rupees 10,50,000 crores with an employment potential for more than 10 lakh youth. Friends, I would like to request you to give a big round of applause. Please stand up and give a big round of applause for my Chief Minister, Honorable Sri Naveen Patnaik. This is the achievement of our relentless effort of our Chief Minister. Thank you. Please sit down. Thank you for this thundering ovation. All-round progress of our state is possible due to the stable government, pioneering and vibrant leadership of Sri Naveen Patnaik. I assure to all participants that Honorable Chief Minister is always with you for betterment of technical and professional education under the leadership of our esteemed Chief Minister Sri Naveen Patnaik. Today, I earnestly request all the entrepreneurs of Odisha present over here to come forward and join hands to cater best of technical and professional education so as to make Odisha the technical hub of the country. I appeal to my dear friends associated with this department that state government is always with you to bring a transformation in technical and professional education in Odisha. I hope this August brainstorming session will breed in many innovative ideas to take our technical and professional education system to greater heights further. Thanks. Bande Utkal Janani.
Transformation of education aims to bring paradigm shift and making education more accessible and inclusive to all. We are extremely grateful to you, sir, for your insightful address. Thank you, sir. We are extremely honored to have our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Naveen Patnaik, as our chief guest, who needs no introduction. The clap must go on, as he has become the synonym for good governance in the entire globe. We are all excited to listen to our chief guest, Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, Shri Naveen Patnaik, and I request him to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Honorable Minister, Vice Chancellor BPUT, Principal Secretary Skill Development, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to join all of you, the top academics and educationalists of the state, at this academic meet of the BPUT University of Technology. I believe that the deliberations here will be highly engrossing, with the far-reaching impact on the future of technical education in our state. Our future depends on how successfully we prepare our children for the future. With technology dominating every bit of our life, every part of our society, we must focus on reshaping our technology education for the changing needs of the 21st century. Higher education critical for societal aspirations, developmental priorities, and social values, all of which must be assessed, nurtured, and refined regularly. In this regard, the National Education Policy 2020 is a meaningful attempt to bring about relevance and set the tone and the direction at all levels of education. Drafted by eminent scientist K. Kasturi Rangan, the policy aims at transforming our educational system. I thank the BPUT for calling this meet to bring awareness among the education community on how the new policy and deliberate on the challenges and opportunities for its implementation. I am informed that the university has plans for implementation of the new policy and discussion on various aspects of it, such as introduction of multidisciplinary courses, bringing improvement in research, innovation, and rankings, capacity building, creation of broad framework for technical institutions, promotion of local language in engineering education, faculty development, and many other issues. I am sure that the deliberations will be meaningful, and I come out with a clear proposal and suggestions for effective implementation of the new Education Policy 2020. The state government is ready to provide all necessary support in the endeavor for transformation of our technical education. I wish all of you a very happy New Year 2023. Thank you. Bande Utkal Janani.
I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to our Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik for gracing this occasion as chief guest and enlighten us through his stimulating speech. Thank you, sir. The clap must go on. I now request our Vice Chancellor BPUT, Professor Bansidhar Majhi, to felicitate our Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik. I request all the delegates to clap must go on. Now I request Registered BPUT, Shri Girish Chandra Singh, to propose vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Honorable Chief Civil Minister, Sir, Honorable Minister, Sir, Skill Development and Technical Education, respected Principal Secretary, Ma'am, Skill Development and Technical Education, respected Vice Chancellor, Sir, distinguished invited guests and experts, management fraternity, principals, professors, ladies and gentlemen. I consider it a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries who have made it convenient to attend this BPUT academic meet. Today's event has been a fitting tribute to this stalwart, late Sri Biju Patnaik, who had a genuine concern for the technical and professional education in Odisha. We are deeply grateful to our respected Chief Minister, Sir, for gracing this occasion as the Chief Guest and for an enlightened address. His address was unique as always because of the novelty of his ideas and concern for technical and professional education in Odisha. Sir, I thank you for presiding over this function and your address. Thank you, sir, very much for being with us. Thank you, sir.
Please give a big hand for our Honorable Chief Minister Odisha, Shri Naveen Patnaik. Once again, our sincere thanks to our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Naveen Patnaik, for gracing this inaugural session, Transformation of Technical and Professional Education. Because of his busy schedule, Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Naveen Patnaik, would be leaving. Thank you all. Re-establishes teachers at all levels as the most respected and essential members of our society because they truly shape our next generation of citizens in the light of transformation of technical and professional education. We are a group of teachers, educators, and researchers who want to promote the development of teaching as a profession in the best interest of our young minds and society as a whole. Further, the program will continue with our all delegates. I request all the delegates to have patience. Soon we'll start the next session. I request all the dignitaries to be seated. Once again, I welcome all the guests of honor on the dash. She is the first women Director General of Bureau of Civil Aviation on Security. She has taken the country's aviation sector in a inviolable high. The clock must go on. She has played a pivotal role in the scheme UDAN. I may now invite our guest of honor, Principal Secretary, Skill Development and Technical Education Department, Government of Odisha, Srimati Usha Padi, for her address. Ma'am, please.
Samastanku Namaskar. Good afternoon to all. Honorable Minister who is on the dais, esteemed VC, BPUT and as well as VSSUT, Register, all the luminaries of academia, and representatives from various colleges who are present here. Mopai, it is बहुत important, not only because it is academic meet of BPUT, but also it's an opportunity to meet all the representative of the constituent colleges. If I wanted to meet you individually, or if I had taken any other effort, it would have taken years to meet you all. So this is a platform which I'm able to address to all of you. I feel very blessed today. Thank you for giving this opportunity. I am new to the department, but it doesn't mean that you are new, or I am new to the Odisha. So we don't have luxury to continue with a long learning curve. You are listening to Honorable Chief Minister, also our Minister. They have already outlined what are the important goal or milestones where we need to reach. I have served in Odisha before going to Government of India in Odisha around 20 years almost, then last 7 years in Government of India. I have a reasonable experience of visiting other states and understanding. Our Honorable Minister has studied in Karnataka. I am from Karnataka, but I am now more an Odia than the Kannadiga. But the national exposure I have and reasonable exposure to various states and their education system. Believe me what our Honorable Minister was saying. The proactiveness of Odisha, I am telling it from bottom of my heart, not available anywhere. Compare all the states. Whenever we need some support or something for the development of the state, Odisha always stood first. Even in higher education I was seeing, today in fact, sir, we have a budgetary discussion at the level of finance minister at 11 o'clock. Because of this meeting, I couldn't go there. The financial resources they have allocated, or the budgetary, or the policy space they have created, is very, very proactive and progressive. So all of us here as a team, I'm sure that we will be able to deliver what is required for the state. Higher education is very, very important to ensure that our youth gets to participate in the growth and economy of the state and the country. This is to create an opportunity for them. So we talk of national education policy, maybe the 3 pillars which I look at, that is accessibility, equality and quality. I think we have so many colleges, now we have already given so much of access. I was told around 32,000 is our seats which are required to be filled up, whereas we fill up hardly 50 to 60%, maybe 12 to 14,000 candidates. So we have so much of infrastructure already available. So access is there. Maybe you have spread across the state. Everywhere there is a chance that children, if they want, they can get the admission. We can cover some of the unserved area. But I think the quality is one which all of us have to work towards. Honorable BC was mentioning about some of his experience. So I'm sure, and I don't intend to take too much of time here, because I will be interested to listen to the resource persons who will be talking on the quality aspects and other related issues. I will be here to learn from them. Only thing I can say this much, that we are ready to work with you as a team. Please come up with your innovative ideas and make sure that Odisha will be top states as far as higher education is concerned. It has potential, it has everything. We have a best of the human resources, we have a best of the policy arena, we have the best of the progressive government sitting here. So maybe we will be able to develop with an action plan. If we are thinking of going ahead, I'm sure we will be able to reach this milestone, what is expected from us. Once again, I thank you all, but in the course of my tenure, I'll be interacting with you. I was telling Honorable Minister, if I can attribute one good quality, which I think one should have in the department. I am a good listener. Please tell us what need to be done, what has to be done. With open mind, we'll try to listen to you and try to address whatever best possible. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Once again, I wish you all the best, and in advance, maybe wish you Happy New Year. The coming year should be best year for higher education. Let us all resolve on that. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Vande Utkala Janani.
I would like to extend my deepest thanks to our guest of honor, Principal Secretary, Skill Development and Technical Education Department, Government of Odisha, Srimati Usha Padi, for her inspiring address. We are really proud for our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Nabin Patnaik, Odisha. Now it's time for felicitating our guest of honor. I request our Vice Chancellor BPUT Odisha, Professor Bansidhar Maji, to felicitate guest of honor, Honorable Minister of Skill Development and Technical Education Department, Engineer Shri Prithviranjan Ghadai. Sir, please. The clap must go on. Thank you, sir. Once again, I request our Vice Chancellor, BPUT Odisha, Professor Bansidhar Maji, to felicitate guest of honor, Principal Secretary, Skill Development and Technical Education Department, Government of Odisha, Srimati Usha Padi ma'am. We are really honored to have with you Usha Padi ma'am in this occasion. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the esteemed guests of our inaugural session, Transformation of Technical and Professional Education. May I now request our Registrar BPUT, Shri Girish Chandra Singh, to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais and all participants. On behalf of the BPUT University of Technology, I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to Honorable Minister Sir, Skill Development and Technical Education Odisha, for his novel thought of making such event. His presence today in this function as guest of honor has immensely enhanced its importance. We are extremely grateful to you, sir, for your insightful address. Thank you, sir, very much. I express my sincere thanks to our Principal Secretary, ma'am. It's a great to hear thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us in our future events. Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful address. I must thank to our Vice Chancellor, sir, whose constant efforts could make it a success one. This program is greatly success under the instruction of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. Also, it's great pleasure to have with us 4 eminent experts professors who have taken pain to deliver the valuable experience in their career. Thank you, sir. Thank you, experts, sir. I put on record and express my sincere gratitude to all the chairmen and management person, principals and professors for their constant support and cooperation with BPUT in all affairs. Thank you once again. Thank you all the dignitaries of the colleges. Lastly, my thanks are due to my colleague of BPUT, officials of STT department, media persons, and staff of other allied agencies who have worked with great dedication to make this program a success. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Once again, our sincere thanks to guest of honor, Honorable Minister, Skill Development and Technical Education Department, Engineer Shri Prithviranjan Ghadai. Guest of honor, Principal Secretary, Skill Development and Technical Education Department, Government of Odisha, Srimati Usha Padi. We are really honored all your presence in this occasion, transformation of technical and professional educations. Thank you all. we are going to start our second session, that is expert session of this academic meet of BPUT Odisha. We have invited 4 expert speakers, 3 from academia and 1 from industry, who is a well-known ODIA entrepreneur. All will be delivering on the theme, transformation of technical and professional education. I request our first speaker of this session, Professor Sripath Kalmakar, Director IIT Bhubaneswar, to occupy the chair on the dash. Sir, please. I request our volunteers to welcome Professor Sripath Kalmakar, Director IIT Bhubaneswar, with a flower bouquet. I request volunteers to welcome Professor Sripath Kalmakar, Director IIT Bhubaneswar, with a flower bouquet. Thank you, sir. Twenty-first century skills among students are critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and digital literacy. As technological advancement, rapid globalization, and unprecedented development, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, transform the future of work, the existing education models need to be reassessed in keeping with the challenges of the global economy. With this note, I may now introduce our first speaker of the session, Transformation of Technical and Professional Education, Professor Sripath Kalmakar, Director, IIT Bhubaneswar. Presently, Professor Sripath Kalmakar is the Director of IIT Bhubaneswar. He is also a Professor of Electrical Science at IIT Bhubaneswar and of Electrical Engineering at IIT Madras. He received the BTech and accelerated PhD degree in Electrical Engineering from IIT Madras in the year 1983 and 1989 respectively. He has held visiting research teaching assignments at several universities, namely University of California, Santa Barbara, and University of South Carolina, Columbia, USA. He has authored numerous articles in journals, conferences, and books, and has awarded 3 patents in the area of semiconductor device modeling and process development. He has received the award Vikram Sarvai in the year 2006 for his research acumen. 2007 IBM Faculty Award for Research and Teaching. 2021 VLSI Society of India Best Faculty Award for contribution in the area of teaching. He is a member of Executive Committee of AICT and the Chairman of AICT's All India Board of PG Education and Research. He was a member of All India Board of Undergraduate Studies of the AICT. Now, I invite Professor Sripath Kalmakar, Director IIT Bhubaneswar, to deliver his address with the presentation on the topic, A Recipe for Efficient and Effective Teaching. Sir, please.
ସାର୍ ତ ଅଛନ୍ତି ସେଠି ଠିଆ ହେଇଛନ୍ତି କଲର୍ ନାହିଁ ସାର୍ ଆଚ୍ଛା ତମେ ସାର୍ଟିଫିକେଟ୍ ଛିଡ଼ା କହିବେ ହଁ ସେଠି କୁହନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍ ଏଇଠି ନେକ୍ସଟ କହିଲା ମାନେ ଏଇଠି ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଇଯିବ ପଏଣ୍ଟର ଯେଉଁଟା ଅଛି ଠିକ୍ରେ ସେ ଏପଟକୁ ନ ଦେଖିଲେ ସେ କାମ କରୁଛି ଅଛି ପଏଣ୍ଟର ଅଛି ସାର୍ ଲ୍ୟାପଟପ୍ ଅଛି ତାହେଲେ କୁହନ୍ତୁ ସେ ପୋଡ଼ିୟମରେ କୁହନ୍ତୁ ଅସୁବିଧା କ'ଣ ଅଛି ପୋଡ଼ିୟମରେ
डिस्प्ले करिए सर।
Okay. So thank you very much for inviting me to this very significant gathering. I have come to Bhubaneswar just about more than a month ago, and I'm happy to be interacting with all the intellectuals, faculty, and others from this field. I come from IIT Madras, where I spent 4 decades, and I've taken over as IIT Bhubaneswar Directorship about a month and a half ago. I'm going to speak to you on what is a recipe for effective and efficient teaching. If you want to transform technical and professional education, one of the important things that NEP 2020 envisages is training of faculty. Now, when we are training faculty, what is the first question we need to answer? Next slide. Now, before I put the question, let me present a quotation. One of the earlier education policy documents, on the very first page, put this particular quote: "No nation can rise above the level of its teachers." I think no other quotation emphasizes the role of teachers more than this one. Since my presentation is for half an hour, I will not try to convince you that this quotation is correct, which is probably the first thing we should do in a faculty development program for teachers. Prove that this quotation is correct. I will just put it briefly as follows. On average, a teacher having an active life of 20 years and teaching 50 students a semester will come across 2,000 students in their formative period. So, a teacher gets to interact with about 2,000 young people whose minds he or she can mold. And the teacher gets to spend about 40 hours with each student. Now, 40 hours with 2,000 people over a career is a very significant amount of time for molding. I don't think any other profession provides you this opportunity. So, if you think about this quotation, ponder over this, you will find this is indeed true. So, if this is true, then how should we train our teachers? That is what I am going to speak about in the next 25 minutes. So, let's try to answer the question, who is a good teacher? Next. Many of us would have come across this quotation. I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. But when do I learn? I do, I learn. Now, this is a very important quotation according to me that every teacher should know. So, what is the role of a good teacher? Next. Students learn best by doing and thinking through problems. So, one of the first things a good teacher should be able to do is to make students work and think. Okay, that is why National Education Policy talks about the 2020 National Education Policy talks about critical thinking. Now, how can you promote critical thinking in students? You can only do it by making them solve good problems. So now we need to discuss next, what is a good problem? How do you decide whether a problem is good? So these are the aspects a faculty development program should be taking up. So let's try to look at this issue further. Who is a good question? Yet another quotation. It is the true nature of mankind to learn from mistakes, not from examples. Let us all think in our own lives, how often have we learned from examples and how often have we learned from mistakes? Let's take people, now for example, yoga is in the news. Now you hear all the time, even United Nations has started a yoga day. You hear all the time that, you want to be healthy, you do yoga. But we'll find most of the people take to yoga only if they have some disease or some difficulty they face with themselves. People don't take to yoga just by looking at others who are healthy. Others who are doing yoga and who are healthy. Maybe a few do, but most others only do it when they face a difficulty. Now, this is the nature of humanity. We learn more from mistakes than from examples. So, what does it have to do with a good teacher? So, a good teacher is one who creates an environment in the class during interactions where students can make mistakes. Because only through mistakes they can learn. So, you must give activities to the students, and you must maintain an atmosphere in the class where students don't feel inhibited to expose their ignorance. These are second important attribute of a good teacher. One is setting good problems, posing good problems to the students. Second is creating an atmosphere where students feel free to expose their ignorance or do mistakes. And when we give them feedback on the mistakes, then they learn. Next. So let me summarize. A teacher prepares students for life. All life is problem solving. Research shows that the quality of learning to solve real life problems is strongly influenced by the quality of problems posed and quality of feedback on learner performance during a course. So these are the things a good teacher should be able to do. Pose good problems, provide high quality feedback. I will give you an example of what is the meaning of feedback. Feedback is much more than simply evaluation. Telling a student that you got 6 out of 10 in a quiz or 60 out of 100 in examination is not sufficient. Many students don't learn from this. They need to be told why did they lose 40 marks? How can they avoid mistakes in future, the kind of mistakes they committed? So that is what feedback is about. It takes time, and sufficient time should be devoted to giving feedback to the students. I'll give some example of what is the meaning of feedback in some context. Next. A good teacher spends considerable time and effort in designing and posing problems and providing feedback to students. Next. Yet another quotation. Who is a good teacher? Aurobindo has said, education is not about learning diverse subjects. Education is not about learning diverse subjects. It is about learning diverse ways to the same subject. It's a very profound statement. National Education Policy 2020 talks about creativity. What is creativity? It is an ability to think about multiple approaches to a problem. Okay? So it is about learning diverse ways to the same subject. To give an example, if a teacher is, a mathematics teacher is teaching theorems, and you have a certain amount of time in which you are supposed to teach, and the goal is to develop critical thinking. This no teacher should lose sight of. Whether you are a maths teacher, an English teacher, or teaching material science, developing critical thinking is common. It is subject independent. So within the given time, if you have chance, instead of teaching 20 theorems, you will probably develop better thinking in students if you teach 10 theorems, but for each theorem you teach 2 proofs, 2 different proofs. Now, this is one aspect that I feel we as teachers have not given sufficient thought to. There is a book which says it is 100 proofs of Pythagoras theorem, 100 different proofs of Pythagoras theorem. Often what we do is we try to cover a syllabus And therefore, in the process, we try to restrict our explanations to just maybe one point of view, because I want to cover more. As a well-known pedagogist said, the goal of a teacher is to not to cover, but to uncover at least a small part of something. So, multiple ways of doing the same thing. A good teacher must spend time on that in the class. If necessary for this, you may reduce the number of concepts that you teach, right? But you must teach multiple ways of understanding the same concept. Next. So, let's look at indicators of learning. How does a teacher know that I am a good teacher? How does the teacher know the effectiveness of teaching? Now, many times we have seen that the rating given by students to the teachers is mistakenly used as an indicator of learning. Now, it is very important to discuss this point, because there is everywhere a desire to recognize good teaching. But unfortunately, there is not sufficient awareness of how to measure teaching effectiveness. Therefore, some numbers like the rating given by students are given undue importance. While rating given by students is an important factor, that is not a hard indicator of learning. So, what is a hard indicator of learning? Now, this is one way to look at the hard indicators. I have shown 3 indicators. Performance in the assignments and exams during course, that is one indicator. Performance in a follow-on course, that is, if a teacher is teaching basic physics in the first semester of BTech program, the efficacy of the teacher is determined by how the students do a later course which uses the concepts of physics. That is a better indicator of learning than the grade the student has got in the basic physics course. And I'll explain why. The most reliable indicator is how a student performs in relevant job or real life situation. Now, because we as teachers have lost sight of these hard indicators, we often have this difficulty that you have some well-known industrialists speaking from the dais and saying that 60% of our recruits do not possess the required engineering skills. Right? Now, when you go to the colleges, all the colleges will claim that they have been effective in imparting learning. If that is so, why is it that a person who recruits them makes a statement that 60% of them don't have the skills required in the profession? That is because the teachers have lost sight of the fact that performance in relevant job or real life situation is the ultimate hard indicator of learning. I have to check my students, after they go into real life, how are they performing? And if there I find that I'm not getting positive feedback, then I have to adjust my assignments and exams during my course so that that indicator is achieved. Otherwise, what happens is we can set exam questions and assignment questions in such a way that students will score more than 80. Right? Students are happy because they see 80% marks, more than 80%, they are happy. So people feel learning has happened. They give a good rating to the teacher. But where is the problem? The problem is that after coming out of the college, others who recruit them feel that they are not employable. That is why we must use hard indicators to judge effectiveness of a teacher and not things such as only rating given by students to the teacher. Next. Next slide. So now, let me put all these ideas together and give you a document, suggest you a document that can give reliable indicator of the teaching effectiveness. It is called Teacher Portfolio. So what should a teacher prepare to prove the effectiveness of learning? First, this document should contain class composition. So this is the document that should be prepared for every course that a teacher teaches. Class composition. What level of students are you teaching? Whether it is a composite class consisting of, say, interdisciplinary course where mechanical engineering, metallurgy students, electrical engineering students are all together? Or is it a class in which people of just one discipline are present? It matters a lot. Next, questions in assignments and exams and mode of examination. This is the next important document that a teacher should provide. Third, performance on the above questions. How the students have performed on the above question. So for example, if I show that my students have scored average of 70% marks, it is very important for me to also tell what questions I asked them. Okay? So combination of these two will give you a somewhat good indication of what level of learning has happened. Next, questions asked by students. Very often we have not given much importance to the questions asked by students. Whereas the questions asked by students indicate a lot the level of stimulation that they have felt during the course. So the document should contain what are the questions asked by students. A simple way of doing that, we just now heard our previous speaker saying that, you know, you have technology now, today, to aid us in pedagogy. Google Form is a very easy method to collect questions. Ask students every week to, fill in their questions they have got, the doubts they have got after you have taught in a Google Form. And that Google Form is available readily, and you know all the questions students have asked. That will tell us how well has a teacher been able to stimulate learning in the student. Next, policy regarding attendance, grading, and so on. So there is a difference of opinion among teachers. Should there be an attendance policy or not? Some teachers feel that yes, we should have attendance policy because I want to develop good habits in my students. They must come to the class in time and so on. Another set of teachers say, well, these are adults, let them decide. If they feel they are not getting anything out of coming to the class, well, they are free to do other things and learn. And if they are wasting their time, they pay for it. This is another attitude. But whatever it is, it must be documented in the teacher portfolio. What is your policy about these things? About grading. Some teachers say, I only give exceptional grades to students once in a while. I don't give outstanding grade to students just like that. On the other hand, another teacher may say that top 5% of my class, I grade them as outstanding, right? So what is your policy about grading? That is the next thing. Next. Teacher and course rating by students. Only after all this comes the rating given by students to the teacher. Next. Another important factor that should be included is rating given by experts. Teachers, experts sit in the class, or you provide a recorded version of your class to experts, senior teachers, and then they try to judge how well you are doing. This is a very important factor apart from student rating. I'll give you an analogy. All of us know about this Indian Idol and so on, singing competitions. In the initial stages, the popularity of the singer was the sole judge to give the top award. But later on, the music composers, they said they were not happy with the awards that were given because they felt that the audience is not necessarily judging the singer by the level of expertise in singing. And it is the duty of the composers to create taste among audience for good music. So they felt the expert opinion should also be factored. Sometimes the audience opinion may not match with the expert opinion. Audience is average level of knowledge about music. They have taste for music, but average level. So that is why you must combine expert opinion with student feedback. Next. And if available, the document should contain performance of students in the follow-on course and performance of students in real life. So a teacher who is teaching basic physics in first level should tell what grades my students got. In a later course, we used all these concepts of physics. For example, thermodynamics, a course like thermodynamics in mechanical engineering. It uses all the concepts of physics which are taught earlier. So if you show that all these concepts were used in this other course and the students did very well later, that's a very good indicator of your effectiveness. Okay. So I have indicated here what are the hard indicators of learning and what are the soft indicators. Okay. Is there a clock here? I know how much time it is. Yeah. Someone can just tell me how many minutes are left? So now let me touch upon the, are you going to tell me how long?
15 minutes more, sir.
How much?
15 minutes.
1-5.
1-5.
Okay, thank you. Now let's talk about the importance of feedback and how to give feedback. I'm just going to give an example. Next. Now here is I conduct faculty development programs, or rather I conducted, because I was head of the Teaching Learning Center of IIT Madras. So one of the places where I conducted the program, I discussed about how to prepare a good problem set and all these things, right? And one of the teachers took it all very seriously and tried to design problems like that. And this is an email that he has sent after he did this effort. Okay? I will give you a few seconds to read this email. So here, you see the amount of time the teacher has spent on setting the question, and then it is an open notes and open time kind of exam, because in real life, you get this kind of a situation. Now, unfortunately, what happened is, after some time, he sent another email and said that students have given him a lower rating than earlier. After he has put in so much effort in preparing good questions and so on, the feedback given by students was lower. And he said our director is very sensitive about this number that we get. And so what is happening is I am spending more time to make my students learn better, but the students are giving me a lower rating. So what do I do about this? Then I asked him, you set a question like this in the exam. Have you given them an assignment before which involved same type of questions? He said, no, sir. So what were your assignments like? He showed me the assignment. I said, these are routine assignments like any other. And suddenly you have set a very different type of question in the exam. So it is like a person is riding on a road and randomly, suddenly he has come across a speed breaker without a sign. So they're thrown off. So that is not correct. So you must prepare the students to answer this kind of questions. So you must set the similar type of questions in assignments. This is very important. So you have to spend time in setting good assignments also. Now, so I'm telling you what is the meaning of feedback, right? So I gave that feedback to the teacher. And then next. Now this is the email I got after a few more months. You can just read this. So the point I'm trying to say about feedback is, one is, as far as possible, it has to be individual. So a person is performing an activity and then facing difficulties, you have to tell, why the person is facing difficulties, how we can avoid the difficulties. Now, teachers might ask, well, I have a class of 100 students. How can I give individual feedback to 100 students? So it's a practical challenge. So the way to get around this is, I may not be able to give feedback to each of the 100 students, but I can identify students which represent the composition of the class. For example, you pick 3 students who are getting widely different answers to a question. Ask them to put their answers on the board. And then you discuss why these 3 different answers have arisen for the same question. Okay? So that is a way you can cover a wider range of varieties of students. Because one of the important things research on pedagogy shows is that there is a diversity of learning styles and depths of learning among students. So learner diversity is one of the things that every good teacher should be able to manage. Next. So here is some format I want to suggest to the teachers, which they can use to get feedback from students to their own teaching. So on, please, before please. Yeah, so it is sharing a slip, maybe 1/4 of an A4 size paper. One side of the sheet, they must write what I liked most about this course or teacher. Okay, and they can also include a rating at the end, but the descriptive feedback is more important, not the rating. Next, on the other side of the slip, they can say my suggestions for improving this course or teacher. Now this kind of slip you can share with the students now maybe a month into your course, after you have conducted at least one assignment and one quiz, so that the students have got some idea of what is going to be your style of teaching and so on. And you can use this kind of a slip then to improve matters for the students. So I'm talking about giving feedback to the students on their learning, taking feedback from the students on your teaching. So feedback is a very important method of improving matters. Next. We'll skip this. Yeah, let's skip this. Yes. Now, let me give you another example of feedback. Supposing I want to develop communication skill among students. So one approach is to give them a lecture on what is the importance of good communication and how to prepare slides well and so on. And then expect the students to put this into practice. But actually, we know this way communication skills don't develop, right? A better approach is to ask them to do some activity and give them feedback. So let me tell you a method of doing this. Next. So here is a way of doing this, developing communication skills among students. So you choose 10 students. So in this particular experiment, 10 research scholars who were in final year of research were chosen. So in a department, right? I'm talking about department-wise this is done. And these 10 scholars are from different areas. And they are told that they have to give an 18-minute talk. So what kind of a talk? TED Talk. So let them watch some TED Talks available on YouTube. First step. Next, they are given a clear guideline. What is the meaning of good communication? They are told you can claim to have understood and communicated an idea well only if you can explain it to your grandmother. So many times people are not aware, you should be a good communicator, but what is the meaning of good communication? If you can tell in very clear and short form, then the goal is very precise in front of a student. That's very important, that a good teacher should tell the goal very precisely and a way in which the student can understand. So if you tell this is the goal of your communication, you must tell your research contribution to your grandmother. So what is, the grandmother is used as a figurative term, a non-specialist. If you can communicate your research contribution to a non-specialist, then you can claim to be a good communicator. So this is the goal. Now next, how to achieve the goal. So what we do is, you ask the students to come up with their presentations, 18-minute talk. So 18 slides, on average 1 slide per minute. Divide the talk into 3 parts. Title slide or title, then introduction and conclusion, this is the second part, and the main body of the talk. So students are asked to come with first the titles alone, and then a discussion is organized among the 10 students. Here the teacher is only a facilitator, no lecture is being given. Okay, so students gather, then first student puts up the title on the board. Other 9 students are asked, do you understand the meaning of the title? Most often, other 9 will say, no, I don't. Okay, so then the student has to revise the title. Now, how does the student revise the title? So the student tries to explain what is going to be his talk about. And as he's talking, and the other 9 students are listening, then they ask questions. Okay, is this what you mean? Is this what you mean? In the process, then the student learns what should be the title. Okay, let me give an example of how the title gets changed in this process of feedback from a non-specialist. So, in one instance, a student came with the title of the talk, a model of the junction temperature in heterojunction bipolar transistor. Now, the other 9 students said, well, we don't know what is a heterojunction bipolar transistor, and we don't know what is a junction. So I really don't know what you are going to talk about in your presentation. Then now, during the discussion, the title got changed to the following: how hot is my transistor? How hot is my transistor? My talk is going to be about that. Now, in electrical engineering, everyone has heard about transistor. So that word is familiar. Okay? But junction is not necessary in the title. When you go into the talk, it may be necessary. So this is how first the title gets modified, and in the process of this activity, the student learns what is the meaning of good communication. Okay? So we found that it takes about 3 hours to finalize titles of 10 students. Next, they are asked to come with the introduction and conclusion. They are told conclusion should be no more than 2 statements. Introduction should contain at least 1 diagram. They come, and then again this is discussed. It takes about 6 hours to do this job, okay? And things get modified. Finally, you take another 6 hours to give feedback on the main body. This is 10 students I'm talking about, right? Now, after this exercise, the students give the talk to a non-specialist student and then to a non-specialist faculty. At the end of this, the training is complete. Now, they come and present at the symposium, okay? So, I will show you some feedback that we have got out of the symposium. Next. You can just read this slide. Okay, so I have just shown one. There were multiple such feedback that we got. So many, in fact, research guides were surprised at their own students who they believed can't do good presentations, did such good presentations. So the key idea here is moving away from thinking that a good lecture is a good method of imparting learning. Modern pedagogy says lecture is not the best method of imparting learning. Activity feedback. This is the better approach. So a good teacher has to design activities and give feedback, and that is the way you develop the level of skill. Next. So now let me summarize and present what is a recipe for good teaching. If I want, let's say next semester I'm doing a course, how should I go about preparing for my course so that learning is effective? First, next slide. So first, you must design good questions for your course. This is the first step of doing well. An effective teacher will first spend time designing good questions. I am saying before the semester, okay? Very often it is seen, what we do is, we teach, and then when it is time to give assignments, then we think, okay, we taught these things, let's see what questions we will ask the students. One day before the quiz, I spend time in setting a question paper, okay? So always we set the questions after we have taught. That's not a good approach. I must first design the questions and then decide what I should teach to my students so that they are able to answer the questions. Okay, next. Then you write learning outcomes. This is another important concept in modern pedagogy. I don't have time, I will not discuss about this concept, but all teachers, according to National Education Policy, should know the concept of learning outcomes. Next. Okay, and you must organize your content around learning outcomes when you go to the class. Now, when you're delivering content, you need to be aware of 4 things. Pay due attention to your body language and how you speak. Now, here I want to spend a couple of minutes. We find that even children who would later not take to music are sent by their parents to music classes to learn music. Communication is so important. Very rarely we see parents sending their children to communication skills class or institutions organizing development of communication skills as a program for teachers. We assume that in due course people will learn how to communicate. According to me, this is a great flaw. Communication is so important. We must pay more attention to this. Okay? So pay due attention to the role of body language in good communication and so on should be brought out. Use analogies in explanations. Judiciously use PowerPoint and Blackboard. Both are important. Encourage students to take notes. Okay? I can spend 1.5 hours on this, okay, in a faculty development program. Right now, I'm not doing that. I'm just putting the points. Next. You must test quiz students frequently and provide feedback to the students. When I say quiz, it doesn't mean you must assign marks and use those marks for grading every question that you ask. I'm not meaning that, okay? I am saying when you're teaching, periodically you must throw some questions at the class. Check whether they are learning or not, okay? You may not use the result of that in grading. Only maybe 2 quizzes and an exam. Whatever they do there, you use in grading. But that doesn't mean questions should be restricted only to those times. Next. Seek feedback on teaching from students and colleagues. And finally, next. A teacher must appear to the students and competent and caring. Both are important. If a teacher is competent but is not caring, it won't have effect on the students. I mean, students won't learn. On the other hand, a teacher appears caring but is not competent in the subject. Even then, you won't be able to create impact. So both competence and caring should be combined. Okay? I can again spend an hour on this. What is the meaning of competence and what is the meaning of caring? How do you communicate care? Okay? In a faculty development program, there are the points that are discussed. Yeah, next. Let's go to the next. Next. Now, online teaching also is very important. A faculty development program should touch upon online teaching. How I can ensure engagement of students in online teaching? I am not doing that because I think I have exhausted time. Can you please tell me? 5 minutes. More? Okay, let me touch a couple of minutes. Yeah, previous slide, please. Online teaching. Online teaching mode is being used extensively, right? But it is interesting to note, teachers are still not aware how to check that your students are engaged in online. So let me give you some tips on that. First point is, in online teaching, you must insist that only those people can participate who can have their video on when asked for. Okay, if a person is not going to turn on the video, you should say that the person is absent. This should be told beforehand. Point number 1. Point number 2, how can I ask every student to turn on the video in a class? Because if all 100 students turn on their videos, we have a bandwidth problem. So the way to deal with this as follows. You divide the class into groups of 4. Okay? And group of 4 should be turning on their video at any given time. So when I'm teaching in the class, I say group 5. Group 5, all the 4 students should turn on their video. And keep it on maybe for 3-4 minutes. I'm teaching some concept. Then after that, I'll say now group 10. Okay, so group 5 turns off their videos, group 10 turns on the videos. This is how you have to periodically keep people engaged. This is one point, one very important point. Dividing people into groups. Okay? And then asking them to turn on their videos. Second thing is we have to periodically ask questions, which I have already said even in a in-person class that you have to do. Even here, we should do the same thing. Third thing I have said, you can use a Google form where you can ask students to deposit their doubts. Okay, this is important. Fourth thing, another way of this thing, and you must tell that I'm going to give marks for the quality of questions. Fourth very important thing, students should take notes in the class. I have told this earlier also. So each student in online teaching should be told you must take notes during the class, and as soon as the class is over, within 10 minutes, the notes should be uploaded at a site. This is very important. Because if you give them free, then they might copy from others and so on. But if you ask them to upload the notes within 10 minutes of the class, okay, then they have to be attentive and be taking notes in the class. You can have some TS to just scan through and check how they are writing their notes and so on. But this is important for engagement of the students. Okay, next. So to conclude, in order to transform technical and professional education, we need training programs for faculty. I have already discussed what are the points that should be faculty should be trained on, concept of learning outcomes, how to set good questions at various levels of thinking, then how to provide feedback to the students. These are the three things that should be discussed at length in our faculty development program. Training programs for teaching assistants. We must develop the teaching skills in students early. So research scholars can be involved in teaching little bit so that they get used to the various aspects of pedagogy. And finally, we must also do research on teaching learning ourselves, because we should not simply follow what is produced in the Western world as a model for ourselves. And we must publish papers on this. Okay? Next. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Truly said by Professor Sripat Kalmakar, no nation can rise above the level of its teachers. Students learn best by doing and by thinking through problems. Good teacher is always recognized by their students' performance. Well, feedback redirect and refocus the learner's actions to achieve a goal by aligning efforts and activity with an outcome. Thank you, sir. May I now request our Vice Chancellor BPUT Odisha, Professor Bansidhar Maji, to felicitate Professor Sripat Kalmakar, Director of Indian Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar. Thank you, sir. I request our second speaker of the session, Professor N.C. Sibaprakash, former Professor ISC Bangalore, to occupy the chair on the dash. Also, I request our Vice Chancellor BPUT to welcome Professor N.C. Sibaprakash with a flower bouquet.
Sir, with due regards, sir, I am one of the participants, Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. May I tell you one thing, that while we are organizing such presentation, we should also have 2 minutes question answer session also.
Yes, after all the expert session, then we will take off.
Thank you so much.
I request all the volunteers, please do the needful. I may now introduce our second speaker of the session, Professor N.C. Sibaprakash, former Professor IISc Bangalore, currently Professor N.C. Sibaprakash, Adjunct Professor NIT Meghalaya, Shillong. He did his bachelor and master degree in the year of 1976 and 1978 from Mysore University. Also accelerated his PhD degree in the year of 1982 from Mysore University. His areas of research are electronic instrumentation, analytical instrumentation, embedded systems, and development of high-pressure DTA and its application, conducting polymer and OLEDs. He has completed many research and development and consulting projects funded by DRDO, ISRO, DST, UGC, and CSIR. Over the last 42 years of research career, he has contributed substantially by publishing and presenting over 170 papers in reputed international and national journals. He is senior member of IEEE USA, Fellow of Institution of Electronic and Telecommunication Engineers, Fellow of Institution of Engineering and Technology, Fellow of Instrumentation Society of India. He has master examination with I rank and got 5 gold medals, and also recipient of Young Scientist Award in the year of 1983 of the Karnataka Association for Advancement of Science. May I now invite Professor N.C. Sibaprakash former professor ISC Bangalore, to deliver his presentation on the topic Opportunities and Challenges in the Implementation of NEP 2020. Sir, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Very good afternoon. Yeah, there you are. At the outset, in absentia, I would like to thank the Chief Minister of Odisha, the Minister, the Principal Secretary. I understand she is from Karnataka. I am also from Karnataka. So, the Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Dr. Ranjan, Finance Officer, very important, all the faculty of the BPUT, and the faculty from the affiliated colleges. And I am grateful to all of you to be part of this. And I think I must say this is one of the best conclave arranged by any state in India. The credit goes to Odisha. I have seen Odisha, anyway, now they call Odisha. For many years, I think lot of transformation have taken place. Be it in social, economical, political, anything that you name, I think the best example that one could give is Odisha. So maybe the credit all goes to Biju Patnaik ji. And fittingly, they have named the technological university in his name, BPUT, Biju Patnaik Technological University. So my association with BPUT is through TechU. All of you know Technical Education Quality Improvement Program 3, wherein there was a twinning. I happened to be the mentor for Visheshwaraya Technical University, Karnataka, and in turn, being a mentor there, I was also mentoring the Biju Patnaik Technical University. So Dr. Tripathi was there as a Vice Chancellor at that time. So fortunately or unfortunately, the COVID came. Next slide, please. The COVID I would consider in a very different way. COVID is all about, my definition of COVID is create opportunity for victory in disaster. I think we have done it, and no other country in the world have achieved what India has. 200 plus crores people have been vaccinated. Even though the fourth wave is on, I think we are not scared of any waves. I think virus is scared of us rather than the other way around. So we have done extremely well. Every one of us, I think, was the part. So therefore, the future is, not before Christ. We always now before Corona and after Corona. So as all of you know, the new education policy, the first one came into being in 1966 or 68, Dr. Kothari Committee. Later in 1986, the second one, and the subsequent one took about 34 years. Dr. Kasturirangan Committee, as was said in the inauguration, a huge document. India is a big country, huge population, and 35 crore students are studying from LKG to PhD, which is I don't think anybody can compete with us. So the unfortunate part of the whole thing is the faculty. We have only roughly a crore or 1.1 crore for 35. The ratio of the faculty and student is bothering us. I think I'm sure that the way we are moving forward, we will have a good number of teachers. Next slide. Having said that, the education, today in the newspaper you must have read COVID wave 4.0, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Synonymous with that is the education also. Education started way back, which was only lecturing and memorization. But later internet came into being, as all of you know, has changed the whole thing. Open source were available. But the remarkable things that happened was in the education 3.0, where we all decided that education should lead to knowledge. But perhaps you agree with me, today knowledge alone will not take us anywhere. So therefore, the education should be innovative. So the way we, technical education, innovation is all about knowledge, skill, and attitude. So this is what is all about the outcome-based education speaks. What learner knows is more important than the teacher. So it's more about student-centric. Next slide, please. So the way the education has moved, even industry has moved in the same way. So we had, go back in 18th century, we could make only the small gadgets which are either powered by water or steam. This was the industry 1.0. Later, during the Second World War, you can started seeing the railway engines on the track. This was an era of the industry 2.0. But the electronics and information technology has completely changed the whole scenario. So this is where our industry 3.0, everything has become autonomous. Perhaps today we don't have to go to railway station to book a ticket. We don't have to go to bank to draw the money. And in industry 4.0, everything is all about cyber physical system. The IoT, Internet of Things in agriculture, Internet of Things in pharma, healthcare, name manufacturing, product design, anything you name in engineering, I think we are moving towards that. Can I have the next slide, please? So this is just to put you in the perspective, quality is very important. It was said many, many times. All of you know Sir C.V. Raman, who was the first Nobel laureate of the whole Asia in physics. He said that time about the quality, I quote, students of today are being taught by the teachers of yesterday, with the curriculum which is of the day before yesterday. I think that's just not on. This perhaps applicable only in the kitchen. You can prepare your sambar or rasam or the dal, keep it in the fridge. There is another wonderful device next to refrigerator in the kitchen is oven. Every day you heat it up and heat. But not so in the education. Next slide. So another great man, as all of you know, Albert Einstein also said about education, which I quote, I never try to teach my students anything. I only try to create an environment where they can learn. I think this is what exactly we will be doing. These are the thoughtful people. 100 years ago, they were all speaking about what we call today as a new national education policy or a new education policy. Next slide. Yeah, this most of you have seen many times. I'm sure that all the teachers should try to be a gifted teacher. What it means is the one who inspires is more important. I think all of us should be making our student learn, and we should become the modern teachers. As Einstein said, modern teachers are those who facilitate. You just have to facilitate. Just to give one simple example, all of us are familiar with LTP, lecturing, tutorial, and the practical. But now today in the national education policy, while you are teaching LTP, you need to add one more component called self-learning. Now the problem with our system is everything we teach in the class. I think that is not the learning. We should make students also to learn on their own. Next slide, please. So therefore, education, as all of you understand, should provide 4 important things: knowledge, know-how, wisdom, and character. They are otherwise the purpose of the education is defeated. Next one. So there is a huge paradigm shift. Before Corona, the student today, they don't know how to write exam. They all got used to the online assessment methods. Even in IIT, we are finding it difficult. So the written exams have changed to coursework. Tutor-led has become student-led. Student-led assessment. Competitions have become collaborations. Objectives, which is very broad, has become outcomes. Content is what you call it is very broad and now become competencies. Course assessment is what we used to call earlier, have become modular assessments. And therefore, there is a huge paradigm shift where I think we need to change a lot in imparting the technical education in years to come, especially incorporating all our ingredients of the national education policy. Next one, please. So, as all of you know, in the technical education, the slide that I showed, education has moved from 1.0 to 4.0, and also the industry has moved to 4.0. So, we need to make our student who graduate should have got the following skill. It starts with the complex solving, critical thinking, creativity, and so on. The last one, perhaps, what you require is cognitive flexibility. I was lucky to be there in Indian Institute of Science for 40 years. I don't think that can happen now in future. People will be moving from one domain and one area to another. We need to adapt ourselves. Next slide, please. So future India is great. Make in India is what we have. Made in India has become Make in India, Make in Odisha. So that requires a digital India. It is almost digitized. Though the bandwidth is a problem, I think governance that we speak and every citizen of the country is already empowered. So with this brief introduction, let me go to the next slide where I'll speak about 5 minutes about the important, next slide, about the national education policy. As I was mentioning, I will not get into the detail because I request every one of you to see at least 66-page cabinet note of 29th July 2020, wherein again technical education is about 10-15 pages. So the next slide, I'll skip many things. Highlights, just to tell the highlights of the new education policy, as was mentioned by the minister in the morning, that higher education is accessible only to about 25%. Roughly about 3 crores of the students are accessing today the higher education, which the government of India or the new policy expects that enrollment to go to 50%, roughly about 6 crores. So therefore, there will be one body called Higher Education Council, then also followed it up by for research, one National Research Foundation. And education should be holistic. Education perhaps, should at least 5% of the things that total curriculum should take care of wherever their interest is, humanities or liberal art or sports, social science and so on. And the expected delivery of the things in future should be multidisciplinary. If someone says I am a civil engineer, I think the way the industry which are moving, where I showed you that cyber physical system, even other engineers need to know about little bit of electronics, computer and so on. So therefore, future is going to be life skill. For better employability, I think we need to make our curriculum, in terms of the multidisciplinary. Next one. This I will skip because of the primary education. You will go to the next slide, please. Yeah. I just want to bring it to your notice that the national education policy, if you want to classify some important 5-6 objectives, objectives, the first one is self-reliance. Especially after the COVID, no one can help, no country can help other country. Everybody is in a bad shape. India is doing very well compared to anybody else in the economy. So that is the first aspect of the national education policy. That's the objective. The second objective is sustainable development goals. As you know, United Nations have come out with 17 sustainable goals. One of them is education. So by 2030, we need to even eradicate poverty, give water to everybody. So if one wants to do, even Government of India has constituted 39 skill council. So we are very happy that the skill council minister was there along with the principal secretary. We should be our curriculum also should include the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Then, as I mentioned, any country is measured through education. So education is now today has become economy, booster. And also, internationalization, not that we did not have Nalanda, Takhtashil, foreign student, foreign faculty, they used to come. So this is for a healthy competition and digitization pedagogy, which I think all of you, whether you like it or not, COVID made us to do this digitization. And in India, the national education policy, the purpose is we have affiliation system. For instance, BPUT also has got so many colleges which are affiliated, but down the line in the next 5-10 years, every institution should become autonomous. And if they want to become autonomous, they should get accreditation. That is very important. So accreditation speaks about quality. So therefore, the future, I think BPUT should put emphasis to make sure that every institution become autonomous in the next 10 years' time. And teachers are very important. Teachers should be computer savvy, ICT savvy, and also they should, the pedagogy, as the previous, my colleague was saying, the whole thing has changed. The way we teach, perhaps we cannot go to class because student knows better than us. So therefore, the way we prepare ourselves, there is a huge paradigm shift. Next slide. So this is the timeline. The national education policy takes about 20 years to implement. I will not get into the detail because I thought I should speak to all of you about some of the opportunities and challenges that are there in the national education policy. I'm going to leave all this slide with the organizers. They can share with, I hope that the emails of every faculty of the BPUT is available. Next slide. So challenge, as I was mentioning, in future, India is going to, if you go to America, there are 3,000 colleges with 3,000 universities. So the way moving forward in the national education policy is every education institution should be empowered to give a degree. It takes time, 10, 15, 20 years in India. And the problem that I already mentioned was the shortage of faculty, including even the higher education institutions like IIT, IISc, we need huge number of faculty and trained faculty. And that too, technology savvy, that is very important. And having said in national education policy, someone exit at first year should get certificate, second year diploma, third year degree, fourth year specialized degree, fifth year into master degree, the whole curriculum has to be revamped. Just mere physics, chemistry, some few subjects in the first year, if you give you one certificate, it will not be any use. It will not be useful unless you get some skill. You should spend some time to get a skill, to get a certification. Then quality, as I said, every institution should reach a stage where they can give degree themselves in next 10, 15 years. Next slide. Infrastructure. As I said, if you want to increase the GER, gross enrollment ratio in the technical education, higher education in particular, it's about 50% amounting to 6 crore. We need to double the infrastructure, including the bandwidth, that, the ICT, what we speak. Yet another problem that we have in India is public versus private. Hardly, even if I take technical education, I understand that there are about 90% of the education institutions are run by the private organization and hardly 10% by the government. So there should be a synergy between these two. And a country like ours with urban versus rural, the education should not differentiate a student who is learning in the urban and rural areas. So like this equity, many aspects that which is going on have to be embedded in our new education, national education policy. Next slide, please. So the curriculum is being, is an important thing. I'm sure that a model curriculum for this is going to come out shortly. They are working. There are a large number of groups that are working. The problem with the education in the country is concurrent. no government can force, no state government can force, no university can force. I think every institution, every individual, every teacher, every student, every stakeholder should take interest in implementing the new national. No one can give in a circular that you implement the national education policy. So therefore, the bottom line in the new education policy is one example, very specific to all of you, is a student of a civil engineering, if they get a major degree, there is a provision for him to give a minor degree in electronics or computer, another 15 to 20 credit if he can earn, and honors degree. There are many ways by which students can get benefited. The top 5% of the student can be considered to be for honors degree if they acquire another 15 to 20 credit in the advanced in their own domain. Next one. So fee structure is another challenges. Who decides, how one decides, and assessment. The OBE in nutshell, outcome-based education is like a triangle. One corner of the triangle is delivery. Second one is assessment. And if these two synergizes, the third outcome. So the outcome is all about the good assessment, good integrity of the teacher. So what is being contemplated is academic bank credit. A student can acquire, let's say a student of BPUT, if he takes a course from IIT, Bhubaneswar, 1 or 2 through online, his credit can be transferred. So the way forward in the national education policy is some domain in which you don't have a faculty, a student can learn from other institutions, that credit also he can acquire in a credit bank. So therefore, finally, national education policy will be successful, according to me, if and only if you have national mentors. The problem is, unless you have mentors, volunteers, then national education policy cannot be. Next one. I'll skip some of them being. So basically, national education policy will have 4 verticals, higher education. First vertical will look after what we call it as regulation. The second one will look after accreditation. As I said, accreditation is going to play a major role, because without accreditation, you cannot make autonomous. Without autonomy, you cannot make them degree-giving institution. Next slide. The third component of the pillar, I would call it as higher education grant council, who decides the fee and also the research project. I understand in the national education policy, 10,000 crores will be available for research project under national NRF. So maybe 5,000 for the MERU, multi-education research universities, and BPUT and all that should become research university. They will get about 3,000 crore, and all the colleges like you also need not compete with IITs and IISc. You will compete with your peers to get your research fund in future if it is implemented. And fourth wing of the Higher Education Council would be the General Council, which looks after the graduate attributes, which is very important at the end of the. Next slide. So therefore, the one message that since all of you are teachers, if you want to introduce the critical thinking, problem solving, then project-based learning, experiential-based learning, you need to reduce the core. Without reducing the core, you will not be able to part the critical thinking and experiential learning and so on. So therefore, the design of the curriculum is extremely important while doing that. Next one. Next slide, please. Yeah. So last, can I take 5 minutes? In later way, people say if you want to do academics, go to America. If you want to do adventurous, go to Australia. If you want to innovate, be in India. India is for innovation. That is the way it goes. So therefore, the new education policy expects one important thing from all of us: can-do attitude. So mindset, we all have to change our mindset. This doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. I think we cannot we cannot keep on giving a reason for not doing. I think our mindset has to completely change. The problem with Indian technical education is we have 3,000 colleges. If I am permitted to classify them into 3 groups, in civil and mechanical, they use they use a phenomena called flow. Laminar flow, then the second one is boundary, third one is turbulence. So if you take 3000, we have about 100 institutions in the country, you are in the laminar. They can easily switch over to the national education policy. The next one is autonomous, about 300 to 400 institutions, they can go from boundary with small things to the laminar flow. But most large number of the institutions comes under turbulence. So about 2,300 institutions. So therefore, lot of work need to be done by the universities to bring them back to boundary in the next 5 years, and eventually they should get into the in management there is a word called VUCA, VUCA, that is volatile, then uncertain, complex, and the ambiguous. Of course, our life is like that. Life is also volatile in a way, uncertain tendency, complex, but you have to find an answer. The way you can find an answer for that is go from the downwards. Agree it is volatile, uncertain, and so on, and collaborate, make collaborations that will lead to, that collaboration means teamwork, unified. We all come together, then we become the first word V, which is victorious or value based. I am sure that BPUT will take all of you together and see that the important ingredients of the national education policy will be implemented and start. I mean, I'm sure that it has already started moving, and I hope that it will pick up. Next one. So the one or two small example, next slide. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. Think differently. I'll just tell one little story, because otherwise, in the class, if you don't give analogy, we don't understand, is what I understand from the last lecture. So the BPUT has invited 5 great scientists, namely Aristotle, Newton, Einstein, Heisenberg, Pauli. These 5 greatest is hypothetical, so invited by BPUT, and there was a conference in Bhubaneswar. At the end of the day, they had a time before the dinner. These 5 scientists were walking in the street of Odisha in Bhubaneswar, and one of the journalists wanted to interview them. Journalists always are interesting. They come up with these spontaneous questions. So he asked Aristotle, he saw a chicken crossing the road. Of course, in India, everything crosses everywhere, including highways. So he asked the Aristotle, why chicken is crossing the road? Aristotle said, it is nature of the chicken, because his research is all about understanding the nature. Then the same question was asked to Newton. Newton said, if chicken is at rest, it will be at rest. If chicken is moving with velocity, then he started deriving F equal to ma, acceleration and so on. Thirdly, it was Einstein's turn. Einstein said, I don't know whether chicken has crossed the road or road crossed beneath the chicken, depends on the frame of reference. Fixed frame, moving frame, theory of relativity. So the beauty is, question asked by the journalist same, but each one is thinking differently. Fourth one was a great quantum physicist, Heisenberg. He said, chicken was moving with a very high velocity, I could not measure accurately. Uncertainty principle. No 2 parameters can be measured accurately. Lastly, Pauli, great personality, got 2 Nobel Prize. He said, chicken has not moved, there is already a chicken on the other side. Our high school chemistry says, no 2 electrons can occupy the same energy state. So, why I said this story is, we all have to start thinking differently to implement the new national education policy. So, see the last 2 minutes, teaching alone will not take you anywhere. If you want to be a good teacher, you need to be a good researcher. Good research leads to teaching, teaching leads to good. That's point number 1. And today, I tell we need to go beyond teaching and research, innovation, incubation, startup, and entrepreneurship. I think, we all have to produce the graduates who become entrepreneur. So therefore, BPUT, I would say from today, you create a center called RISE, not R-I-C-E, rice that we eat, R-I-S-E. R for research, I for innovation and incubation, S for startup, and E for entrepreneur. Okay, so this is next slide, please. So the next slide, next one. Yeah, next. I mean, I can skip. All of you know about. So the one wonderful thing that startup won't come, as I said just now. You have to have ideation center, then create an idea, allow the student to work on that in a group. Finally, ideas get converted into some incubation, then startup and entrepreneur. If you look at the word startup itself, the first letter of the startup is yes. If it has to be successful, the technology is very important. You have to choose the right technology. And third letter of that startup is A, agility. You cannot be slow. It's like taking the ticket after train is left. I think you have to be moving fast. And R, re-engineering, where Korea, Japan are today. We should, tinkering labs. We must make engineers to learn. And teamwork is important for any good startup. And unique approach. Unless you come out whatever ideas, and then startup will not happen. And persistence, patience, very important. And lastly, any startup, if it has to be successful, you have to take societal problem. In India, a country like ours, we can take many things. Basically, we have issues with agriculture, water, energy, transportation. So take some problems of this nature. I'm sure to healthcare, for instance, last 2 years, we have been doing so well in the first country to have done the vaccine. Vaccine takes 5-10 years. I think India has done a great things to vaccinate our country with 200 crore plus vaccination. Next slide. The last one. Future technology, having said, today's technology, artificial intelligence, robo, then blockchain, genetic engineering, 3D printing, additive manufacturing has become order. Anything that we can think of, we can have a print, the 3D printing, then augmented virtual reality. IIT Madras was the first one to have shown that they conducted the virtual convocation, virtual, what should I say, conference. Today I have attended 6 conference. I never even had a visa to go to Australia. I could do it because of the ICT that is available. And Hyperloop, we can go even faster than the aircraft. There is a project which went in Japan where the Tokyo to the other city, it has gone within 2,000 kilometers per hour. And lastly, smart cities. 100 smart cities will become 700 because we have 700 districts in the country. Smart cities require civil engineers, electrical engineers, and for communication, computers, and so on. So therefore, future is great for the technical education in Odisha. So I am sure that we will take off. And this, I am again thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share some of my views. And I leave it here because you should not get angry with me because now you are hungry. 1:30, it's a lunch time. I'm sure there will be a break after this. And once again, thank you all for your patience hearing. Thank you.
Teacher must create an environment for students. Teacher should be a facilitator. Before we felicitate our Professor N.C. Siprakas, now the session is open for question and answer. So I request we will take few questions from the audience. For both our expert, Professor Sripat Karmakar and Professor N.C. Siprakas.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
My question to Professor IIT Bhubaneswar, Director, sir. Sir, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, should I start up? Sir, thank you very much for your wonderful faculty development program insight throughout this 30 minutes of input, where you have shared regarding the teacher's role and responsibility and how to make the learning more effective. by this, what will happen? The engagement will be there, and the class will be more interactive, and the effectiveness will also be there. So I thought of sharing with you so that if you can add this and make it a more standardized one in various faculty development programs, so that it will be more meaningful. And the teacher must be a good listener. And to this, I'd like to give my all respect to Madam Principal Secretary Madam. When she was giving her deliberation, she was saying that one of her attribute is, one of her great characteristic is to listen. And in fact, when I have sought for an appointment to meet her in her office, I got the appointment within no time, within 5 minutes of time, and she could listen to us more than 10 minutes. So that also gives us an input that a teacher must be a good listener, only not a speaker. If that happens in the class, I think class will be more effective. How do you say so, sir?
Yeah, you're perfectly right. So, in fact, when I said that activity and feedback is better than lecturing, in lecturing you speak, others listen. Activity feedback, first you are listening to the person, observing the person, and then telling the person where he or she should improve. So you're right. It is very important for a teacher to be patient. So actually a good teacher should never say, look, I just lost patience. Sometime it might happen, but otherwise it's not a good, I have seen many good researchers saying that, I don't have patience for students and so on. So you are right. I agree with you. Yeah.
Sir, my other question to sir.
Yeah.
Professor Bangalore, sir. Sir, you said that to provide quality education, we need to do many more things, and for that we are having 4 different roles of NEP, starting from regulator to the implementer and all. So while saying so, we are having so many institutes in our country that is private to government. When we are talking about private institution and government institution, whether they are providing management education or technical education, they are charging some fees from the students. While we are talking about the fees of the students, so we are getting from the student for a particular program, while operating in same area, same expectation, and same quality output and program outcome, we should have also a standardization regarding fee structure as well, which is basically recommended by a national body, maybe AICTE, maybe UGC, maybe any apex body, so that we will be doing justice for providing quality education to the students by getting good qualitative input from the good quality faculty members from the society as well. Otherwise, it's just a myth. Suppose we are talking about imparting good quality education to the students but not having quality faculty with us, it's next to impossible for realizing the vision that we have set in our NEP. How do you say? Please, sir.
Thank you. So that means you have not slept while I am talking. Very good. That's very positive about. This is a debatable. Roughly, if you take IIT, they may spend about 5 lakhs per student. If you go to other college, they spend 50,000, 40,000. So therefore, what I am trying to say is, having said, earlier also I said education is concurrent. Central government cannot impose on state, state cannot impose. So therefore, it's a very, management says, who are you to decide my fee? I give quality, I hire good faculty, I will fix the fee. So I'm sure that single fee will not work out in India, because of various factors. But there should be a range. Okay. We also have to change our mindset. My child, I don't mind paying 2 lakhs for LKG, but when 45,000 is increased in the engineering fee to 50, we make big issue. So I think each state should come out with a band. Okay, this is a minimum, this is a maximum. Unfortunately, of course, Srimati Usha is here. She was in aviation. We have been talking that there should be a minimum and maximum in the airfare, but never happens. There are sectors where I paid much more. I think we should debate, discuss, depending upon it cannot be one single fee, but there should be a band, range that we should be doing. Thank you for your. Yes, please.
I have a very different query altogether, and it's actually posed to both of you, sir. So we have been talking about including Indian knowledge system as well as universal human values in national education policy. So we have been working at our institutional level. We have been working on both the aspects. But I would like to definitely listen from both of you as to how, in technical and professional education, at the national level it's being planned. Minus the universal human values 1 and 2, which is being imparted as a course for engineering students. It has not yet come in the management colleges as yet. But what will be your take when it comes to professional education, especially management education? Because we would like to know whether we are on the right path or not. That's one. And second one, sir, when we are talking about Indian knowledge system, the ancient knowledge system, how do we think that we are going to incorporate that in professional and technical education?
Okay. Okay. So, can I take? Two things. You know, not necessarily we should learn all these things just for this examination thing, the value, universal human value, ethics. No, I would say ethics, you don't have to teach, you have to practice. I go to class on time, I leave the class on time. If with the permission of all of you, I take 1 minute to tell the story about ethics. You know, Sir C.V. Raman again was the first IISc director in 1933. After that, he started one institute in Bangalore called Raman Research Institute. He wanted to take 3 research assistants, advertised in Bangalore, thousands of applications, shortlisted, and finally Sir C.V. Raman himself interviewed these 5 candidates and selected 3 of them. At the end of the day, he was going out of Raman Institute and he saw a person who attended the interview was walking very dejectedly. He stopped his car. He asked him, why you are dejected? Is it because you are not got selected in the interview? The boy said, no. I was given a small travel grant and 1 rupee more was given and I wanted to return that money. Went to the office. I could not find him. I'm worried how to return this money. Then Sir C.V. Raman said, are you in Bangalore tomorrow? Can you come and meet me? Who doesn't like to meet Sir C.V. Raman? So he went there next day, called that fellow and settled the account. And Sir C.V. Raman said, you have failed in the physics interview, but passed in the honesty. Then he said, I am going to create one more position. If you are interested, you can join me tomorrow. He joins him and subsequently, all of you know, he becomes a Nobel laureate, who is S. Chandrasekhar, Chicago Chandrasekhar in the astrophysics. So, but for his honesty, he would not have got the admission there and he would not have become a Nobel laureate. So therefore, I think ethics, honesty, human values, in our primary school we teach moral science. There is no, we have to practice. Moral science is not just for teaching. I think parents have to be moral first. As Dr. Kalam always keeps saying, if you moral at home, you can make everybody to follow behavior. So I'm sure, we should teach and we should follow. And, Indian culture, heritage, I think nobody can match in the world. Ours is a great heritage. Yesterday only I came from Indonesia. Anything you go there, you see, Krishna, Ramayana, they don't know who the Rama is, but many similarities that we see, and they, Shiva, all these things, the name, even America people are coming to understand our, so therefore, I'm sure that I'm very happy that you are teaching, continue to do that, and we will make sure that our student, understand the concept of all these things at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have an interaction session in the second half. I request all the delegates to keep reserved their questions. Okay.
Yeah, it is not a question, it is rather a suggestion. And you know, the AICT, right now TG Sitaram is going to take, is a colleague of mine from IISc. Certainly your concern will be, and also Jagdish Kumar, who is also a good friend of mine, UGC chairman, certainly we will pass on your concern and your things to them from our side.
Sir, AICT already has recommended one fee structure that is known as Sri Krishna Committee. So that is already there, like Tier 1 cities, Tier 2 cities, Tier 3 cities, and Institution 1, Institution Tier 2. So they are having a different kind of, as you said, range of fee structures. That is already there. So that can be taken as a reference.
I request delegates to keep reserved their questions and
Yeah.
deliberation.
I will quickly respond to the previous speaker about ethics and Indian knowledge systems. AICT has brought out a book on Indian knowledge systems. You're aware of it, right? Now, the author of that book, who happens to be a friend of mine, is from management IIM Bangalore, right? So I think people like him will be right people to tell you how to incorporate Indian knowledge systems into your curriculum, right? And in fact, he does that. So that's about Indian knowledge. I also want to point out that NPTEL has brought out lectures on mathematics, contributions of mathematics, and how Indian mathematics differed from Western mathematics in motivation and methodology and so on. So the idea as I can see, the idea in knowing about all these things is to learn to think differently, right? How people thought differently about the same thing. So that is how it is relevant to today. And people can use this material available on NPTEL for, deciding course content. Now about ethics, in the context of research, I want to point out, my experience shows, for example, an ethical question in the context of research is plagiarism. You know, we come across so many cases of plagiarism. People have been banned from submitting their papers to reputed journals because of this. Now, if you go into the root of this, why plagiarism is being indulged in, it's because of lack of communication skill. People don't know how to write, right? And so what they do is they do cut paste. So my opinion about this is we need to understand things in practical terms. It is not sufficient for us to tell people plagiarism is bad. We should develop communication skill. Because if you insist that you should have a PhD if you want to take up a job, and I don't develop communication skills in people, then to get a PhD I have to publish. And I don't have communication skills, so what will I do? I'm going to plagiarize. Okay, so I feel we should look at it more practically and see why people are indulging in such things and remove the cause. Specifically, people should be trained to write well, to avoid plagiarism. I have taken one ethical question. Like that, we can take other things, and we can talk about those also. So, what Professor said is also correct, right? He gave practical examples of how if we want to be, we should reward ethical behavior as teachers. We must reward ethical behavior. That is one way to reinforce ethics. Other thing is look at it in practical terms and see how the cause can be removed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I may now request our Vice Chancellor BPUT, Odisha, Professor Bansidhar Majhi, to felicitate Professor N.C. Sivaprakash. I request audience to clap for him. The first speaker session has come to an end. I would like to inform all the dignitaries it's time for lunch break. All the delegates are hereby requested to assemble at Food Plaza along with the food coupons. It will be a great pleasure to have you return to this room at 2:30 p.m. Thank
I
you
hope
all.
all of you know that after that there will be 2 sessions, 3 sessions in fact, and there will be also a plenary discussions. We want your input and we'll interact one-to-one so that it will be better.
All are requested to move to first floor food plaza, in first floor.